What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Talk to Me here on notfest.com. As always, I am Joshua Toomey and joined by the one and only Chris Akin. Chris, how are we doing?
Awesome, man. What's happening?
Man, I am just living the dream, man. I interviewed Riki Rachtman this week, and that came out, and I will go down fighting for that guy. That's one dude that I watched weekly on Headbangers Ball, and it's funny, like the older I get, the more I find out that people actually didn't like him back in the day, but everybody kind of in my circles was a big fan.
I was a fan personally, but you're right. A lot of people didn't like it. You know what? Anybody that's famous on TV, everybody hates. They hated Josta after. They hate Eddie Trunk.
Right.
You know, if you get famous on TV for talking about this stuff, they hate you for some reason. But whatever. Ricky's cool. He's actually down the street from me tonight. He's here in town, but I chose Talk to Me instead.
Yeah, he's doing a spoken word tour. I'm curious to see how this goes for him. The 1 Foot in the Gutter tour, which is a great name for a tour.
Sure.
And yeah, it's fun. I kind of talked to him in the interview a little bit, but I interviewed him a few years ago, and he was he's very self-deprecating.
Sure.
And he's very, he wants to do a lot of things, but I don't think he puts himself out there for a lot of things. And so back then he was like, I don't understand why Eddie Trunk gets to host everything and the Sirius XM stuff. And, within the last few months, he's going to be on the Headbangers boat. He did like a Sirius XM kind of takeover thing. Like he's doing those things that he wanted to do a few years ago and kind of put those out into the ether. And I think the universe is, rewarding him for that.
Sure. Well, look, he's a talented guy that just went away. Why did he go away? I'm sure you've asked him that. Why did he disappear for so long?
Well, we talked a little bit about that, and he was obviously, he left Headbangers Ball in 95, 96, somewhere there. So it's like there was really no, like, he couldn't just immediately go to the Riki Rachtman podcast or something like that. So he but he did go to, he was on Loveline for a long time, like a local Loveline type thing, and then doing some local radio. And I think around 2000, he actually punched another DJ in the face and got like assault charges and was kind of persona non grata there for a while. Right. He actually talked a little bit about on the podcast too. Was he was selling cars for a little while, and he was getting the "Aren't you Riki Rachtman" from MTV thing, and he's like, "Yes, I am. Would you like to buy this Hyundai?" Type stuff.
Yeah, I'll put a Faster Pussycat tape in there if you buy it today.
And then he did motorsports for like 20 years, and he actually said that he had like a rock and racing weekly radio show for like 19 years that just ended. And now he's doing the Cat House podcast and all that stuff, and kind of delving back into the world of being Riki Rachtman. But yeah,
sure.
And I was a fan of Riki, and I didn't know anything about any of this other stuff.
Yeah,
until his Cat House podcast came out, and he kind of broke down like, where have you been?
Sure. Well, I'm hearing it all first right now, so. I didn't know, and I liked him. I was a fan. The thing I like best about Riki is he seems like he's one of us.
Yeah.
Like he never became like the other guy that's out there now.
Yeah.
That's all, well, when I'm here in my house in Las Vegas, Rachtman always just seems like, dude, you got to hear this new song by Band X or what, he's still a metal guy. He's still just one of us, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, even in our chat, he was going on and on about Amon Amarth and, talking about, I'll see him post about even stuff about like My Chemical Romance and things like that, things that are in more my wheelhouse. But,
sure,
I enjoy guys that as they age, they still look for new bands. Like I got a buddy of mine who's a couple of years older than me. He's like, 48-ish. Mm-hmm. And, he was at the Wage War, A Day to Remember show the other day, sending me footage of that and sending me footage of bands, and he's just one of those dudes that didn't stop listening to Korn, and then nothing, anything else new was bad. It's like he's been consistently like sending me bands to check out, and typically are good bands.
Few and far between, my friend. You're about to, as you get older, you start seeing all your friends start listening to country or whatever garbage they're listening to. I hate it. It's one of the reasons I don't go to like reunions and stuff.
Yeah.
Because people start talking to me and they're like, "Oh, you still listening to that heavy metal stuff?"
Right.
I am. And they're like, I like heavy metal. Van Halen. It's like, no, that's not heavy metal. Not even close.
Well, we've talked about it here on the show some. I mean, there was that period of time where I was working a lot and it was post, doing anything in the music business. There was like there's a period of time where if you put out an album in like 2011, I probably didn't know about it, even if it was one of my favorite bands, just because I fell out of the loop. And obviously starting the show and doing this podcast weekly, my inbox is full of new bands and people are, obviously always telling me about bands and things like that. So yeah, I definitely understand their period of time where you kind of quote unquote grow up and try to do, a regular job and maybe not paying as close attention to a lot of things as much as you and I, obviously pay way too much attention to, all this metal stuff going on.
I don't know. I don't think I ever had that moment. The only time I had it, honestly, was there was a period for about 3 years. I used to have a music website called Pit Riff.
Yeah,
that was
great name, by the way.
Thanks. It was kind of it was a like a blabbermouth sort of a thing, news, and I did reviews and stuff like that on it. And when I finally quit, I quit doing that. At the same time, I had just sold my print magazine that I had, like right before that, and I just was done. I just was like, I don't want to talk about music anymore. I don't want to listen to music anymore. And I didn't for about 3 years. And then I slowly got myself back in it. And then the first thing I did was went back to those 3 years and started listening to just crazy amounts of music from those 3 years that were still all new to me. So I think I'm caught up now.
As we record, man, this is actually when this is released, I believe, is the anniversary of Dimebag's death. I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about, like, where were you when you heard that Dimebag had been murdered in Columbus, Ohio?
I was asleep. My friend Kurt, I remember exactly where I was. My friend Kurt called me at like 5:30 in the morning, and he's like, dude, you aren't going to believe this shit. And I was like, what? And he's like, Dimebag's dead. And I was like, what do you mean Dimebag's dead? He's like, yeah, man, he got shot down at El Rosa. And I was like, get the fuck out. I was absolutely just not even believing it. And then I turned on like the news, and it really wasn't on the news. It wasn't quite big enough of a story for like Good Morning America or any of that shit. So it wasn't really on the news. But so I went to work and I'm listening to the radio. I was listening to probably Opie and Anthony or whatever, and they weren't really talking
Rover's Morning Glory.
I was not listening to that. I can tell you that now. But they were actually on the station that I was on, and I'll get to Rover in a minute because he's part of this story.
Right.
So I was on my way to work, and I was listening to radio, and nobody's really talking about it on the station I was listening to. And then I got a call from Rover's producer, and they were like, you heard about Dimebag, right? And I was like, yeah. And I was doing the metal show on the same station. And so they were like, they knew that I had this audio of Dimebag that I had just done. I had just done this interview with Dimebag. And, we didn't leave, my partner, Matt, and we didn't leave audio anywhere. So they were like, well, we want to play the audio. And I was like, okay. And I had the audio in my car. So I went and I got the audio and I, got it over to them. And then I had to go on the radio and talk about Dimebag while I was at my jobby job. Then all, bosses are all mad at me and shit because I'm like, oh, I'm going to take my lunch at 9:10,
right.
cause I had to go sit in my car on my phone to do the interview talking about the death of Dimebag. But yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday, man. Very, very sad. It just sucked.
Yeah. I had, a few months before Dime died, I had gotten some really good intel, like believable intel, that Phil had died. Like, not this isn't, this isn't connected to drug overdose or whatever. This was, it might be connected to drug overdose, but it wasn't the big one that happened in, years and years ago.
Sure.
This was only a few months before Dime was taken from us. And so when I heard the news, I texted everybody, "Oh my God, Phil Anselmo's dead." And then obviously he wasn't dead.
Sure.
So I felt like a complete ass. So I heard that about the Dimebag shooting probably soon after it happened. Like it was quick. Like I got a text quick, and I didn't tell anybody. And I was living in an apartment that like it had a community center that had like some this is what 2004.
Yeah.
So it had like high speed internet, but it was only in the clubhouse or something.
Mm-hmm, sure.
That whole thing where the laundromat and the clubhouse and the workout area or whatnot. And so I go down to this little lab or whatever, and I'm like basically on like CNN or on all the news, just hitting refresh,
right?
Because I didn't want to say anything until like I knew, and then all of a sudden, man, it pops up. It was just like it's like a gut punch, man. It was and it's fun. I've told the story before, but Primer played the Alla Rosa,
sure,
and we were sitting. I was sitting out. This was like 2002, and I was sitting outside in the little patio area. And they had these fences outside that were just leaned in real far, like just dilapidated fence.
Yeah, well, it's a shit neighborhood where it was. So,
and I was joking at the time. I was like, man, if anybody wanted to sneak into a show for free here, you just got to get a running start and jump that fence. And if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of how he got in. Kind of
what he did, yeah.
And hopefully he wasn't there when I said that. Yeah. But yeah, like just the whole night, man, just crazy to hear. That somebody like with that much personality and that much just life, kind of taken from us, man. And what is that now? 19 years ago? That's crazy.
Forever ago, man. But I'm telling you, man, it just
18 years ago.
It was one of the scariest things for me. I mean, any other time I would have been there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went and saw Pantera whenever Pantera was close to me, I saw Pantera like 35, 40 times.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, they were one. I'm not a travel guy, as you're well aware, but Pantera is a band I would travel for and did. I would always go see them. When they would come here, I'd go see them here in Pittsburgh, Columbus, maybe stretch to Cincinnati. I would go see Pantera. Wherever they were, I would go see them. And quite honestly, the only reason I wasn't in the Alla Rosa that night was because I didn't like the Damage Plan record.
No.
I just didn't love it. And I was like, I'm not going to travel. It was like a Wednesday night or whatever night it was during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't going to travel on a work night, 2.5 hours down, 2.5 hours back and try and go drive home drunk, which I would have done. And B, well, because I knew those guys. I mean, dude, you can go listen to the interview that I did with them. The final interview that I did, it's on YouTube. If you listen to it, you can hear me and those guys just fucking around. Me and Dime and Vinny and Pat and Bob Zilla. We're just fucking around having some fun. I know I would have got down there, had a bunch of drinks and drove home.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm going to get home at 3:00 in the morning. I got to be at work at 6:30 in the morning. That's going to be tough. And I just didn't go because I really didn't like the record enough to go down there and do it. And then, and then obviously the world blew up. But,
Yeah, luckily, it was in August. They played here in Louisville, and it was kind of the same thing. I almost didn't go. Like I just luckily had a couple of friends that were like, "Dude, come on, let's go." And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I don't, kind of the same thing. I didn't really care to see Damage Plan." And then thankfully I went. They closed the show with A New Level and Walk.
Nice.
I think Dime was the one that was just like, thanking everybody for coming out, and also kind of threw out a jab of like, it's not our fault we're not playing these songs with the other guys type stuff on stage. Right. And they finished with A New Level and Walk, and then they were out by the buses after the show, and I've told that a few times too, and got to go and talk to Dime a little bit and
sure.
Thank him. It was a very bizarre, in retrospect, conversation, thanking him for all the music and all the inspiration, and telling him that I got to tour in a band and blah, 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 just all that stuff, because I first met Dime in August of 94. Mm-hmm. The last time I talked to him was August of 2004. Like right. 10, it was almost 10 years exactly.
Right.
From the time that I first met him to the time that, the last time I spoke to him. And, 10 years, and those 10 years were very formative of, getting into Pantera, getting into a band, getting on tour, all that stuff. And then so by the time I saw him in 2004, being able to just kind of like say thank you for the inspiration, and this is what I got to do, and he was pumped and I was pumped, and it was just awesome to talk to him that night.
Hell, dude, they were so much fun. I mean, I am one of the rare few that can say that his favorite band ever he was also friends with, and it was great. I mean, I was definitely friends with Dime. I was definitely friends with Vince. I'm still pretty friendly with Phil. I don't talk to him as much as I used to, but I'm still pretty friendly with Phil. And I mean, like Phil did that real nice little video for my book and stuff, which was pretty cool. I mean, it's just cool. It's one thing. I mean, you and I do this. We talk to a zillion million bands. Yeah. It's one thing when you're talking to them. It's another thing when you're boys. Yeah. It's another thing when it's Anselmo calling on the phone going, "Hey brother, why don't you come down to Horrorcore? We're going to have a big festival this year, and just invite you to come down. It's like, I'll send you some tickets, man. Just come on down, Yeah. Phil was always like that. And Dime was always super cool. And even the very last interview that I did, I kind of annoyed Dime by reading him back some of the shit that Phil had said.
Right.
And after the thing, he was like, he wanted to have a Karate Kid kick fight with me. He's like, you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. I was like, okay. And he did. He climbed up on a speaker, made me climb up on a speaker. We booted each other. Yeah. It was the craziest shit, but it was just cool to be friends with those guys. And I hate that it is where it is now. Like every Pantera fan, I don't care what you think of the reunion or the tour or tribute or whatever the fuck we're calling this thing. Yeah. I hate that it ain't with Dime and Vince, but at the same time, you can't take those memories. And every truly great memory, or most of the truly great memories that I have of music stuff, is with Pantera, whether it's concerts or whether it's partying with them, or, the biggest thing I ever did in my life was this meet and greet thing that we did for Pantera. And we expected a few hundred people would come out to this thing, and 3,000 people showed up. Wow. And literally so many people came. They only did the town we were in. We didn't even ask for permits because we didn't think it was going to be any deal. They lined up around the building that we were in. Then they lined up around a bank so that the bank had to close because there was so many people that were there. They only had two cops for 3,000 people because they didn't know. They didn't know. We didn't know. And it was just insanity. People were chanting, people were banging on windows, and people were drinking in line. And some guys tore off a bike rack to take it into the building to get signed by Pantera. I mean, it was fucking nuts. Yeah. But it was one of the coolest things I've ever been involved in. And those guys were right in the middle of it, being a part of it and having fun. I have a lot of Pantera stories. I definitely have a Pantera book I should write.
Yeah. I mean, you're Mr. Books, so yeah, you definitely need to write that, man. We'll dive into the Pantera shows that have happened now. But real quick, talking about your favorite band being your friends or whatnot. I mean, I clipped it and threw it on YouTube of Riki. I asked him if he had a few more minutes or whatever, and he goes, man, I made sure you were the last interview of the day because I really enjoyed talking to you. And I'm like, that's fucking the guy that I was when I was 13 years old was on TV, telling me how cool, Morbid Angel was. And now he's like, oh, I made sure you were the last interview of the day. So, cause I enjoy talking to you. I was like,
nice. That's awesome.
So, yeah. What was that Friday night that the show happened?
Yeah. Friday night, last Friday, this first show.
So yeah, we're starting to, I think we woke up Friday morning. There was some sound check footage that was, first off, actually, this is just a disclaimer. If you're going to film some stuff for your YouTube channel or you're sneaking a thing, don't sing.
Do not sing.
Just film it. Because I was watching I think they sound checked Cowboys from Hell. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to hear for Phil because Phil is what I was most worried about with this whole thing. And I'm trying to listen for Phil, and all I hear is come to the Cowboys Phil. The guy filming, the guy sneak filming fucking rehearsal footage was singing along. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, it's like, shut up.
But that sounded awesome, so I was pumped for it. And then a few people went live. What was that in Mexico? Like the Heaven and Hell Fest in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And a few people went live on YouTube and Facebook and whatnot. So I was watching some I think you were watching the same footage. The audio was really bad, but you could kind of tell what was going on. And I was, you and I were texting back and forth like school kids, like dude, I'm so pumped now. But like the stage show, they must be listening to the Talk to Me podcast over there at Pantera headquarters because logo was on fire, the lights were going off, the band sounded great. I think Charlie's using either triggers or something to sound very much like Vinny's kit. Mm-hmm. I thought I was like happy for Rex and Phil. Man, Phil sounds great. Like
he sounds as good as he has in years.
And I'm completely blown away by the whole thing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. The only thing was there's a few times where I was kind of wondering where, Zakk was kind of playing the solo, but not playing the solo. But now that I've seen some better footage here and there, he's still not playing dime solos to a T, which I'm going to give him a break for. That's the first show. I know they didn't rehearse very much, and that's a lot of solos and a lot of notes to learn, I guess. But the second show I watched, that kind of popped up today as we're recording, seems like it's coming together, man. I think by the time it, gets a few shows in, I think it's going to sound amazing.
Yeah. By the time they come in 14 months or whatever it is to my show, they should have it down.
that 2024 Metallica show, it should be good, man. It's funny. Someone posted something about Zakk, and there's a photo of Zakk, and he's, the vest and the jeans and everything, and everybody's like, something's not right about it, and someone finally goes, it's the jeans.
Yeah, he's not wearing a kilt.
I was like, that's exactly what it is, man. He's not wearing a kilt. Like he's wearing a pair of jeans, and it made him look so much different. But I'm digging it, man. I was when I was watching the footage today of last night's show or the night before's show, I think I'm enjoying the fact that you can tell it's Zakk playing. And Zakk is kind of playing the riffs the way Zakk would play them.
Yeah,
he's not really copying Dime. He's kind of just being himself, and I think I enjoy that more than him trying to be Dime.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it would suck if he was just trying to note for it. It wouldn't have any feeling to it if it. And let's be honest. I mean, you saw Pantera a bunch of times, right?
Yeah,
you saw him several times. I saw him a bunch of times.
I think I saw him about 15 times.
Yeah, so. You never saw him play not one song note perfect.
Right.
That wasn't Dime's style. Dime's style was to just kind of, play, and have fun. And he would play what he was feeling at that moment. And I mean, there are some signature parts of his solos. And I thought Zakk was pretty close on capturing that stuff. Yeah. But for the very most part, Zakk was doing what Dime used to do, which is just get out there and play into what he was feeling. He's a different guy. And let's face it, Zakk can't win no matter what he does. Zakk is the guy that's just going to get fucked over no matter what.
Yeah.
If he played this stuff note perfect, people would say, see, he's just up there ripping off Dime. People would say that. Half of the people would be like, no, this isn't good. He's just ripping off Dime. It's the same with the guitars. Half the people are bitching that he's not playing Dimebag's guitars.
Right.
He's playing his own guitars. And well, how can that sound like Dime? If and then the other people are, if he does switch, if he switches up to Dime guitars, those people will be like, see, he has to mimic the great Dimebag. It's like, dude, just shut up. I don't know about you if you're following some of these Pantera groups on social media, on Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
A little bit.
If you're in one of these groups and you're bitching, go fuck yourself with a fucking Dimebag Dean, okay?
Yeah.
Just shut up and enjoy the fucking shows. Oh my God, everybody is so bitch. All they're doing nonstop. Bitching about the guitar sound, bitching if it is really Pantera or not, and bitching about the prices that apparently they didn't take the time to read about. They just saw the Metallica most expensive packages,
right?
And they're bitching that they can't afford that. That's what every single person is doing in these groups, and it's making me nuts. It's like, can't you guys just fucking enjoy the fact that 22 years later or whatever it is, we're getting these songs finally?
Yeah.
And performed well, even if it isn't as well as you want. You can't argue that these songs are not being performed at a high level, as high a level as they've been since Time Passed.
Yeah, I think that Zakk is killing it. I think Charlie, I've never really kind of gone out on a limb and said this, but I mean, Charlie's not one of my favorite drummers. Like I've never been a giant Anthrax fan. I like Anthrax. I will go see Anthrax if they come through town. But of the big four, I could, they're definitely four, and they're always the band that I'm like, if you could drop them for Testament and all that stuff. Like Anthrax, not one of my favorite bands.
Okay,
I've owned stuff over the years and whatnot, but Charlie's just never been one of my favorite drummers. Like, I see him pop up on lists all the time. So I was kind of nervous about him being the drummer in this, but I think he's absolutely nailing it. And I think he's the one that when everybody's talking about the stuff, like he's putting out the quotes of, that was the most nervous I've ever been. And that was, just scared to death to do anything wrong. Like he's taking these shows to heart. Obviously he's a huge Pantera fan.
Oh yeah.
And he, obviously a big fan of, or a big friend of Vinny's. So it's like, I think he's definitely taking this one to heart.
I think he is. And the thing that's different is he's playing differently.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever seen Anthrax, which you have, Charlie's a soft hitter. I mean, he's never been the guy that crushes his drum heads. He's always been kind of soft. And I don't mean soft like the sound is soft. I just mean that he's not a guy that like kills his drum kit. But to have that Pantera sound, you got to be swinging for the fences.
Right.
And I mean, I know, they're triggering it or whatever they're doing to his drums to capture that Vinnie Paul sound, but he's playing a hell of a lot harder than I've ever seen him play with Anthrax. And it's cool. Look, I have no bitches about it. I think everybody's playing well. Even Rex, who, I do not like, I can't say nothing, but in some of the songs where they're kind of bass heavy, he has sounded great.
Oh yeah, he's always been a fantastic bass player. I know you're not the biggest fan of him personally, but I think he's a monster player.
He's a great player.
A funny thing, the looking at your screen here, the CFHs behind you on the stands or whatever, my old boss's husband made those, and I didn't know it. Like a guy named Dean Tomasek.
Okay.
I worked for his wife Terry in Nashville, and he actually Czynszak, Chris Czynszak, a Decibel Geek, actually posted Dean's photo of it, and I told my wife, I was like, Terry's husband made the CFH,
nice.
Thing
made it for this tour.
Yeah,
that's fucking great. That's cool.
Made those exact ones that are on your screen there. So
sure.
Melissa was like, "Are you gonna get him on the show?" And I'm like, "I might."
Yeah. Might as well. Everybody else is getting Pantera love because they've met the guys once or twice.
Yeah, everybody's got a story, man. What did you think of the set? Well, there's 12 songs. We'll kind of run through it real quick. A New Level, Mouth for War, Strength Beyond Strength, Becoming, I'm Broken, 5 Minutes Alone, This Love, Fucking Hostile, and an encore of Planet Caravan, Walk, Cowboys from Hell, and then Domination / Hollow.
Well, I'm hoping by the time they come here that we get in some Far Beyond or some Trendkill music.
I think this was the Monterey Metal Festival, because I know they did Yesterday Don't Mean Shit at that's the Mexico show, and
they also did what did they do? They did something from Trendkill on the first show. The one yesterday they did not play anything from the last two records. And I mean, look, as long as they give me a couple of songs from Trendkill, I'm fine. I certainly get that Phil can't do a lot of those, I mean, he didn't do them when they did them. When they did the album, they had Seth from Anal Cunt that came in and did a lot of those screams for Phil. So, I get that they can't do all of it, but I would like to hear, I don't know, War Nerve or something. Or Suicide Note, one or two or both.
Right. Do you like they did back in the day, play Suicide Note Part 1 over the PA and then
blast off?
Yeah, because let's see here. Pantera in Mexico was A New Level, Mouth for War, Strength Beyond Strength, Becoming with Throes of Rejection outro, I'm Broken with By Demons Be Driven outro, Use My Third Arm, 5 Minutes Alone, This Love, Yesterday Don't Mean Shit, Fucking Hostile, a Cemetery Gates tribute to Diamond Vinny, Planet Caravan cover, Walk, Cowboys from Hell, and then Domination Hollow.
Yeah, my bet of the 2 nights, the best thing that made me happy was when I saw "Use My Third Arm" mixed in there.
Yeah,
because that is by far my favorite Pantera tune, and that it was in the first night. I was like, oh hell yes, this is gonna rule when they come here.
Yeah, I no complaints with the set. I think it kind of hits all the, hits everything that you need to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're doing. I'm kind of curious to see when they have the headlining show coming up. Them and Sepultura at some point soon. So I'm kind of curious to see how expansive the set gets and if they actually do some crazy deep cuts or
Well, the thing right now is they might not know them. I mean, honestly,
true.
I mean, Charlie's never toured with. I mean, he's got a whopping 2 shows under his belt. Same with Zakk.
Yeah.
And let's face it, it's not like they were even playing them. Like riffing, playing a lot of the deep cuts. I mean, even when both of those bands were notorious for mixing in some Pantera into their sets, whether it's with BLS or Anthrax, but it's always common stuff. Yeah. It's always Cowboys from Hell or Mouth for War or stuff like that. It's never been. Hard Lines and Sunken Cheeks or any, something right. Crazy. So they may just not know them. And I don't know, I'm going to throw out a slight criticism, and it's a very slight criticism, and it's probably not even necessary. But I feel like Charlie and certainly Zakk might have put more time into being ready for this thing. I think Charlie's playing well. But I think, just his reactions, I guess, make it sound like he's scared, which means that he's not confident in what he's doing.
Yeah. And he's been in Anthrax for 40 years, what I'm saying? And it's not like I don't really know of it too many other bands that he's toured in. I don't think he's toured in anything else really. So, I mean, this is outside of his comfort zone. The very, very small scale. You put me up on stage with my band that I grew up in, and I can knock those tunes out no problem. If one of my favorite bands of all time comes along and says, "Hey, Toomey, we need a bass player for these shows," I'm going to be shitting bricks. It's like it's.
But I think if you knew for 6 months, you would have rehearsed every song known to man. If Korn said, "Hey, we need a bass player next May," you would do nothing but listen to Korn and play Korn all day long.
Even there's still no matter how many times I rehearse that song, there's still like, oh shit, I'm about to walk on stage with Korn. Oh shit, everybody's gonna be filming it. Oh shit, there's gonna be the 37 oh shit moments on the way to the stage.
Sure. Yeah,
and again, there's also that whole thing of no matter how many times you rehearse it, as you're walking the stage, you're going to be, I do that thing where you're like, I forgot the whole thing. I don't even know how to play bass. I don't even know what a bass looks like at this point.
Right. And again, I guess maybe I am being a little harsh now that I'm thinking about it. Cause let's face it, first time they're getting on stage as a band together is in front of 50,000 people or something too. Yeah. It's not like it's in front of 800 people or something. It's in front of a massive crowd.
Well, it's 50,000 people there. And then how many people are watching it around the world because everybody's tuned into those live streams I was watching, had thousands of people watching those. And, and I'm sure the YouTube videos are probably, thousands of videos of that. Mm-hmm. Somebody, I don't know the name of it or whatever, but they took, basically they pulled from all these different angles and everything else. And I've already put together like a pretty decent, set if you want to watch the whole set, from start to finish.
Yep. I did watch that. Yeah. I did watch it, and however they put that together, bravo to them, because that's really solid.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. The did you like the kind of the the Diamond Vinny montages and things like that?
Yeah, I mean it's appropriate. It's appropriate without overdoing it, which is Phil's in a weird position with this thing. Yeah. Because he knows what everybody thinks. Or not everybody, but he knows what half of the audience thinks. Yeah. Which is that he's somewhat responsible. That myth is never going to go away. to me, it's a myth. To somebody else, I'm sure we'll get comments by me calling it a myth.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Fuck that! Phil's part. Phil did it. It's all Phil's fault. He encouraged Gail to kill him." That's what's going to happen. It just is. But so he's in a weird spot. He's been pretty true since Dime passed, saying about, he had nothing but love, and, and their business differences were just business differences, and it never affected the brotherhood, and blah, blah, blah. He's in a tough spot doing this. And if he overdoes it, people will think it's corny and cheesy. If he underdoes it, then people are going to think that he's just stealing the Pantera name for himself. So he's in a weird spot. I think it's cool. I think they're doing it with as much respect as they can give it. That being said, Charlie needs to shut up, or whoever said it. I don't know if it's Charlie or Zakk or whoever said about recording new music, they need to stop that talk, because that will be the most disrespectful.
Yeah, I haven't seen the full quote. It's from Charlie, but I think it was more of it was probably an answer to something more than something actually being talked about.
Yeah. They need to not do that.
Yeah.
Or if they do it, just call it something obvious. Call the band like Black Sabbath did.
Yeah.
When Black Sabbath called themselves Heaven and Hell, everybody knew it was Black Sabbath, but it was, I think theirs was more contractual than anything else, but out of respect for what Pantera was, just call it Cowboys from Hell. Everybody will know what it is.
Right.
You can still play all Pantera songs, and you can play a couple of new songs along the way, and everybody will be on board. Be smart.
Yeah. And I think a band of Phil, Rex, Zakk, and Charlie, no matter what you call it, that's going to be cool. Like, it's going to be cool to check that out, whatever they come up with. Yeah. But if they put it up under the Pantera name, man, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, if you put out a Pantera song without Dimebag and Vinny on it, that is going to cause a mutiny. Dude, as it is, the fans right now, the fans, the message board dicks are at a mutiny level right now. Half of them hate this thing, half of them love the thing. So, to put out music, that would not go, that would be pretty ugly. It would probably sound good, but it'd be ugly.
I did want to bring a new segment to the show. It's called What Rockers Think of the Pantera Reunion. Paul Stanley says the new Pantera lineup is killing it. Dimebag and Vinnie Paul would be proud.
Oh, well, if Paul Stanley said it, well, people, it's going to be great, people.
Paul Stanley tweeted, thrilled to see Phil, Rex, and Pantera back killing it. Zakk and Charlie clearly did their homework with love and commitment. Pantera did shows with us years ago and were ferocious and explosive. Others tried, but nobody could be them. Diamond and Vinny would be proud.
Boy, how bad must Kiss have been blown off the stage by Pantera? Jesus.
Yeah, that was... I couldn't even imagine, like, trying to go on after Pantera, even if you are a Kiss.
Dude, you said that to me when we were texting back and forth on Friday. We kept seeing that. We kept seeing the little banner that, like, Scorpions were up next.
Yeah, good luck, Scorpions.
That was, you just texted me. You're like, good luck, Scorpions. I was like, oh boy, you ain't lying there.
That's what's crazy about this. I mean, I do get that they're kind of dipping their toes in the water, and they, maybe don't want to headline right out the gates or whatnot, but man, I just don't understand why any bands are going on after this.
Ugh,
and now more than ever.
Can you imagine Scorpions coming on after Pantera and doing like Tease Me, Please Me or something? Oh my God. People would be booing and throwing stuff at them.
Yeah, that's just too funny. So do you think, Paul Stanley, there's some underlying, like, see, two original members of the band can go out with two fill-in guys, and the band's okay. Like, trying to make sure it's okay that he and Gene are still out there with kind of fill-in dudes.
Of course, he'll definitely side with the hey, have no members. It's fine as long as as long as I'm getting paid. I'm sure if there was any way he could get paid for the Pantera thing, he'd have talked him into doing it years ago. Him and Gene.
Yeah, Paul, yeah, definitely. Now that's the thing. We need a Pantera with no original members.
Could happen. It's gonna happen with Kiss.
I don't know if you saw or not. I created a nice little stir on Facebook the other day when I said that from now on, any band that has not all less than one original member. That's what, or less than
three. You said less than 3 original members.
I will now call a tribute band, and oh man, people were either 100% on board with me or like you are a fucking idiot.
All right, here's my question, dude. No. Does it matter anymore?
No.
Really now that doesn't. MTV is dead and we're not seeing the people like daily, does it matter? If the songs are good and somebody that wrote some of those songs is up there, do you really care?
Yeah. My comment was, I will now be calling any band that is missing more than one original member a quote unquote tribute. You all need to stop it.
Yeah.
And then I said Seven Dust is the only band that's allowed to tour.
And Aerosmith.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of depends. I mean, right now they're kind of back and forth on their drummer, but yeah. I mean, you know what I'm getting at.
And U2.
And well, the drummer from U2 just said if they tour there, he's not going to go out.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I pulled that one out of nowhere, but yeah, I mean, like Clutch can tour and Seven Dust can tour, but any other band, even Metallica, stay home. Like don't even think about it because no Dave Mustaine, no Cliff Burton, no Ron McGovney, no Metallica.
That's right.
But speaking of that, you and I both got Metallica tickets.
Yes.
Mine were a little bit more expensive than yours, I do believe, but I think we both both underpaid what we thought we were going to pay.
Yeah. Where are you seats or standing?
We got seats in the lower bowl.
Okay.
Let me see.
In where? St. Louis?
Yeah, we got the St. Louis show. You got what? Detroit?
I got Detroit. Yep.
All right. So you got you're November 10th and 12th.
No, I'm November 10th.
Well, yeah. Well, and I'm November 3rd and 5th. So I can go ahead and do some some surveillance for you and see what's going on.
Perfect.
But yeah, it's November 3rd and 5th. We it's kind of like she was like, I was like, are we staying for the night too? Are we going to stay in St. Louis? St. Louis is, I think, about 4.5 hours from here.
Okay.
So it's not too bad. I mean, I really don't want to drive back and forth twice, but we'll probably make a little weekend out of it and beautiful St. Louis, the gateway to the West.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm kind of in the same. I'm in the boat of if night one, if it's good enough, I might just turn around and come home. But you got, what was yours, like 125 for the tickets?
125 after the fees.
Okay.
Like total cost, and I'm in the middle bowl.
Okay.
I'm in the middle. I'm at Ford Field, section 319.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on the side.
Okay.
But I guess on the side, it's in the round, so I guess there's no real side, but it's not the quote unquote front. And it's section 319 on an aisle. And it was 125 after fees. So not bad.
It says the Dome. I'm assuming that's where the Rams used to play.
Okay.
Where we're going, and we got end zone seats, about 10 to 15 rows up.
Okay.
For after fees was $3.25 a piece.
All right, so you're on the same, probably the side like I am, the quote unquote side, but. Dude, does it matter? I mean, honestly, as long as you're there, does it matter?
Right. Yeah, no, I called somebody asked me how much the tickets were, and I was like, they were cheaper than a new set of tires.
Yeah.
But I called the wife before they went on sale, and I was like, how much can I spend? She's like, do not put this on me. I was like, what's my budget? She's like, do not ask me this question. So
right. Well, dude, answer this question, because I texted you. I got my first ever viral TikTok video.
I heard about
over 20,000 views or whatever now.
Nice. Are you
but it was just me saying on something that I think the second night they're going to be playing to half empty stadiums. I honestly think that half the people, at least half of the audience, will not come back for the second night. I just don't think that the crossover audience from Pantera fans to Five Finger fans is big.
Yeah, you got to kind of wonder. Like, I guess obviously the draw being Metallica. You know
Sure.
but same with you, and same with me, same with a lot of people are traveling for these shows.
Right.
So you've got to get that extra hotel room in the middle.
Yeah.
And and most likely you've got to get these are what Friday, Sunday type things.
Friday, Sunday, yeah.
So you gotta. Most people will probably go Thursday and then have to check out on Monday. So you've got to do hotels each night.
Yep. Three nights of hotels, 2 days off of work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of expense outside of the actual tickets themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm really like, for me personally, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go to lovely Detroit. It's a fine city. Right. And I will get in my car and drive home that night, because even if I leave, if the show ends at 11, I'll probably get out of the parking lot by 12. I'll be home by like 3 a.m.
Right.
Which I'm always up at 3 a.m. So that shouldn't be that big of a deal. That's not that big of a deal. Am I going to drive back 2 more days later to see Five Finger, Ice Nine Kills, and
a different set
of Metallica? No, I'm just not. And it's nothing against those bands. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Ice Nine Kills, and Five Fingers. Okay, I guess they're take it or leave it band for me. But the second night with Metallica, all right, I've seen Metallica 50 freaking times.
Right. Well, you've also that. Actually, I just looked it up. St. Louis from here is 3 hours 45 minutes. So yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, not bad.
The only thing I'm thinking, and if people are listening this far into the episode and are going to the St. Louis show, I was thinking like that Saturday nights, like just doing a meetup, like doing a Talk to Me meetup or something. I'm assuming there's got to be something going on that Saturday in between in all of these cities that. You're dumb if you're a local promoter or something that's not putting on something.
I would hope that the Metallica tribute band in every city is fired up on those Saturdays.
Right.
Because they will make a ton of money in whatever bar they're going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll go, right? If you're staying in St. Louis and there's Battery, the Metallica tribute band, you're going, right?
Yeah, a Metallica tribute band, or even
Pantera.
or a bar that's doing a big 4 night or something, and just having just a metal night at a club, anything like that. That's what I'm thinking. Like, so I mean, it's a year away, but if we start putting something together and doing even a dinner or something, and meet at the Buffalo Wild Wings for all I care, but just something, getting everybody, getting some fans together and just kind of doing a hangout. Because when I posted I was going to St. Louis, I mean, there were a bunch of people that were like, oh, I got my ticket there too. And I don't know if those people are close by or not, but I mean, we can, do something, get 10, 12, 15, 20 people into, go have some drinks or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that sound.
See, there you go.
Well, you're gonna have to catch me coming into Detroit, because I promise you I will not be there in the day in between. No chance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Chris Akin meetup will be in the parking lot 30 minutes prior to the gates opening.
Right.
But yeah, man, I'm pumped, and tickets were actually cheaper than what I thought. And $325 is crazy, but it's really, if you want to look at it, $175. And if you want to doing all the math and stuff, and we were on here like proclaiming that we would pay $500 to see them paying a lot less than that, and we're getting Metallica.
Okay, now let's play the game in between here, because Pantera's only playing 1 show a week.
Right.
So they're going to announce a tour that's going to fill in these cities. They're going to play Philly. They're going to play Cleveland or Columbus. They're going to play somewhere in Kentucky. Yeah. They're going to play somewhere in Indianapolis, I would imagine, right?
Something, yeah.
Are you going? $250 a ticket. $250 a ticket, Pantera only.
$250 one ticket. Oh, that's a lot. Now that I've got my bar
now that
set,
you've spent your Metallica money.
Yeah, now that I've spent the money on this, I'm kind of looking at the dates here. Louder Than Life is typically like September 27th ish, and they've got St. Louis is November 3rd, so that's like the weekend before. September, October. No, I'm sorry, I'm way off. I'm like a month off. I'm doing some Chris Akin math over here.
There you go.
But yeah, I think the festival, the Danny Wimmer festivals are still on the table.
I think so too. Yeah.
You know, judging by the locations of these shows, I think the radius clauses and everything else will open up for the, for the, the Danny Wimmer type festivals, and even, whatever,
sure.
Maybe, if Not Fest is going to do some US shows this year, things like that, which I don't think Slipknot's doing the US in 2023.
I know this. They didn't build this big ass stage that they just trotted out to play 3 or 4 shows.
Right.
They built that to be on tour in the States somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking they're going to play big, might be summer sheds.
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all if they're doing the sheds in the summer.
Judging from the video you've seen now, and the fan response, because I mean, even my friend Jeremy, who was staunch against this, so against this, he's a Charlie Benante fan, like loves Charlie Benante, loves Pantera, did not want to support this at all. I've seen him posting positive things about this, so I'm like, so now that they've you've got some stuff on tape, you've got some stuff on video out there for people to see. Do you think this is going to do bigger numbers in the States and everywhere else than originally thought?
Oh yeah,
and big enough to where they're going to do the sheds? I mean, I still think that they would need a strong opener.
I don't think so.
To do like what's like up there by like Nautica or whatever? Like how many?
Nautica's like 5,000. No, you're trying like Blossom Music Center,
Blossom,
like 18,000 people.
Yeah.
I think they would do a solid 13 to 14,000 people right now. Cleveland's always been a hotbed for Pantera anyway. So I think if they announce it, they'll do 14,000 if they don't have any openers.
Yeah.
If they have a good opener, and I don't mean Wolfgang Van Halen.
Looking at it, what if it's Pantera 5 Finger Death Punch?
Sells out in a minute.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think, if they try to wedge 5 Finger on top of that, Bill, you are going to see Cleveland torn down.
Yeah, Cleveland will be on fire.
Cleveland will be blown up.
Like the whole, when 5 Finger takes out Megadeth, you're like, what the fuck,
I think this has way more interest than Megadeth does.
What about a Pantera Megadeth tour? That would be fucking awesome.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
I've seen that before, and it was great. Yeah. It was Megadeth, Pantera, and White Zombie.
Oh,
that was a good show.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that's on the table, dude. I mean, I would think that would do well. I think as long as they have a decent opener or no opener, they'll do well. I don't think if they wedge somebody that just buys on that makes no sense, I think that'll actually hurt.
Right.
Because those bands are going to get murdered. You're going to get a bunch of 40 and 50-year-old guys that have that last little bit of angst that their wife hasn't beaten out of them that are looking to have that one last moment of pure aggression. And they're going to be wanting to get that aggression out. So, you better not put some sorry ass, band on, because they're going to get killed.
Yeah, I think this definitely has to be, reunited Biohazard, something like that.
That would be great too. Or Sepultura or a band like that. But please take at least one good new thrash band. Somebody, there got to be somebody out there.
Yeah, I noticed on one of the YouTube comments on the Knotfest page, people were talking about, I wish Metallica would have taken out a up and coming hardcore band or something. Not Pantera, not 5 Finger Death Punch. I mean, Ice Nine Kills. I mean, they've been getting a lot of Metallica love. This isn't the first time they've opened for them lately. So I mean, it seems like maybe the Metallica camp's enjoying those guys. Obviously, Wolfie's kind of a anomaly because he's a Van Halen. I get that he's a new band, but he's also a Van Halen.
How much of the Wolfie thing? I think, and this is my completely uninformed thought. So you can tell me I'm full of shit if you want to, but I think the only reason Wolfie's on this is twofold. One, he's the media hot button right now. You know, all the media loves Wolfie and loves the record. And two, it's kind of that whole respect that Van Halen put the original Charvel in the casket of Dimebag. So it's almost like a payback to, well, we'll take his son out on tour because he has that heritage to Dimebag. You know,
well, I mean, not that Five Finger's a new band, but I mean, in this world of where we kind of are, like it really is, you know, night one is Metallica, Pantera, Wolfie, Van Halen, who has the Van Halen tie. So the older dudes are going to be like, oh, fuck, that's Eddie's kid, you know, and then night two is Five Finger and Ice Nine Kills, which is kind of a you know, once again, Five Finger's not a new band, but they are still a newer band. And you know, and Ice Nine Kills is obviously a newer band, which I mean, Ice Nine Kills has still been around for God knows 10, 15 years now too. So, I mean, I do think that I really think that they're going to do a more classic set night one and a more modern set.
You think Metallica is?
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so. I certainly hope so.
Because I will not be there. You know,
I am fine if they leave Bleeding Me and The Memory Remains and
Unforgiven
Fixer,
3.
and Unforgiven 3. Those songs can all go on night two. That's fine. Anything from Saint Anger, night two. Give us, you know what, for night one, just first 3 albums. You don't even have to go to Justice.
Yeah.
Just give us the first. Just give us up to Master of Puppets. That would be good enough.
All right, man. Well, let's finish this up real quick with some recommendations. I got a couple of music and actually, I guess it's all music and then one kind of compilation thing I want to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
Your favorite dude, Chino Marino of Deftones, his other band Crosses.
Yes.
They have a couple of singles out now, one Sensation and one Vivian. And man, if you hate Deftones, you are gonna hate Crosses because it's like Deftones without the heavy. And so, I thoroughly enjoy them. Chris Akin probably will not.
Probably will never hear it.
Good friend of the show, Jelly Roll, has a new song out called "She," and he is diving right into that kind of country rap.
Sure.
That obviously that's making him some money, and it was kind of cool to see him at the CMAs on the red carpet. You know,
right.
he kind of posted about that. As we record this, I believe his show, he's playing the Bridgestone Arena, which is the hockey arena in Nashville.
Okay.
He sold that out, man. I'm
nice.
As a dude from shitty part of Nashville that was in and out of juvenile hall and all this other stuff. Fucking amazing that he sold out Bridgestone Arena.
That's great.
And one last thing, have you ever seen Wayne County Lyfe on like Facebook and YouTube?
No, I'm not familiar.
It's a guy. He kind of does a bunch of character stuff. He's got Uncle Terry. He's got Dip. He's got Cody. You know, he's a very amazing comedic actor. That's mainly just on YouTube and Facebook and things like that. But he goes by Wayne County Lyfe. It's in Detroit.
Okay.
He did a Christmas album, and all of his characters were on it and kind of doing some stuff back and forth. And Matt Noss from Roach Coach actually produced it. Nice. So I'm like blown away. I'm like, even though he's just kind of like Facebook famous and like YouTube famous, I'm like, dude, Matt, that's awesome. Like hearing Matt on the Christmas album, blew me away. But yeah, man, this Wayne County Lyfe, everything he does cracks me up. And he put together like a Christmas album that's fucking funny as fuck.
Nice. Well, I'm much simpler this week because I have nothing new to offer. The only things I've been listening to this week is Pantera.
I've been watching a lot of Pantera videos.
Yep, same here. A lot of YouTube Pantera and I think I've listened to all the albums at least once this week. Nice. And then the only other things that have snuck in, and they're not really new, but they're records that I think we both liked and forgot real fast. One was the Heathen, was it called? The Great Heathen Army from Amon Amarth.
Right.
And then the other one is that Machine Head record.
Yeah.
It's back in my head again. And man, that record is great. That might be, I don't know what it is about Rob Flynn. He makes me want to hate his band. And then right when I want to quit, then he comes back with something amazing. And this is the Blackening or debut-ish.
Yeah.
That album is just great. So,
yeah,
that's it for me.
I did. I was going to bring this up off air, but since we're talking about it, maybe towards the end of the year, I would definitely need to do like a top 5, top 10 episode of the year kind of thing. So be thinking about that. Right. And just quickly on football, then I'll let you go because I know you got to go watch some wrestling. How was the debut of Deshaun Watson? I haven't seen a thing.
He sucked. He sucked. He threw half his passes right into the ground.
Yeah.
But I don't know what people expected.
Yeah.
He hasn't played in 2 years. So of course he's not going to be good. And he wasn't, and whatever. And thank you, Baker Mayfield, for getting cut. So we didn't have to hear it so bad on the national media.
Yeah.
But no, he'll be fine. Again, I think people were really, overblowing thinking it. People around here were overblowing, thinking he was going to come in and throw for 5 touchdowns and 800 yards in his first game. And man, the guy hasn't played in 2 years. I don't care what you do. Dude, in your job, if you tried to do it after 2 years away, you'd probably show up at the wrong houses half of the things.
Yeah.
So you gotta give him a little time, but he sucked, but they won. So whatever, we'll take the win.
Yeah. The Titans got absolutely ass handed to them by the Eagles. And
I wasn't going to mention that.
No, and it's funny, man. Like Eagles, I saw, obviously on my Facebook, I've got, friends and fans around the country or whatnot. So all the Eagles fans are like, I bet the Titans are regretting that AJ Brown trade now. And I'm like, I right back. I was like, I regretted it the moment it happened. And everybody's like, oh, he played like he had a grudge. I was like, no, that's just how he plays. Like
he's good.
He's really good, And so basically, I think that was the camel that broke the straw's back there. That made our GM got fired 2 days ago because of everything kind of going on. And I'm honestly wish nothing but the best for John Robinson, former Titans general manager now. He definitely came in, we were 5-27 the 2 years before he came in. We are like 2 wins away from our 7th consecutive winning season, since he's been around. But I still say that, man, you give Mike Vrabel an actual squad and just watch out, because, Robinson was good at finding kind of those diamond in the rough players, the undrafted free agent rookie out of Sam Houston State or something like that. But his track record on first round picks and players getting second contracts and, trading AJ Brown, just all this other stuff, man. Just kind of keeps kind of like the team is like right there, but it's like still has so much stuff to like overcome and just everything makes everything so much harder.
I don't know how he explains the AJ Brown trade.
I don't either, man.
That's you just don't trade away top 5 talent. And AJ Brown is I would say he's a top 5 receiver today. Wouldn't you? Okay. I mean, if he's not, he's right there. He's spot.
I mean, I'll never forget draft night. We picked late in the night, so it was Thursday night or whatever. First round of that draft, and I'm like, I went to lay down in bed. Like I was like, I'm gonna lay down in bed. I'm gonna watch the end of the first half of the draft, and I was actually watching the Pat McAfee draft coverage on my phone.
Sure,
I had the draft on the TV, and then all of a sudden Pat McAfee was like, "Oh my god." He's like, they just traded AJ Brown, and I jumped up out of bed and I called my friend Troy, and I'm like, they fucking traded AJ Brown. I didn't sleep that night, so like when Eagles fans are like, oh, I bet they regret that now. I'm like, no, we all knew that this was stupid when they did it.
Yeah, there weren't any fans that were like, yeah, great move.
Yeah. It also doesn't hurt that the Eagles took, Traylon Burks got a touchdown pass, the guy that we drafted to kind of take his place, and catches a touchdown pass and immediately gets a concussion.
So. Yeah, that sucks. Well, dude, there's always the XFL. They announced their dates, and you and I are going to have to pick some teams, make our hat bet again.
Can't wait. I guess the USFL, the Tampa Bay team is moving to Memphis. I think.
What difference does it make? They all play in one place.
I heard this year. I think they're going to play in Birmingham and Memphis this year. I don't really know what that means, but
that's dumb. Put them in their cities so that they can get some love from their cities. Yeah, I did notice with the XFL. Yeah, the XFL, that they have 3 teams from Texas.
Nice.
They have like Houston, Dallas, and like San Antonio or something.
Right.
But they have 3 of the 8 teams are in Texas. So I guess it's a Texas league.
Well, I mean, everything's bigger in Texas, man.
That's
just
right.
like Pantera.
Yeah, I noticed The Rock got his name on one of the teams. So one of the teams is like the San Antonio Brahma Bulls.
Oh, nice. Oh man. I guess the other thing, I don't know if we talked about it or not, but the Metallica date in Arlington is on Dimebag's birthday. So
wow. Wonder if that would be a little wild.
That would be fun. I saw Pantera on Dimebag's birthday in Houston one year, and he came out with a crown on his head.
Nice.
And, it was a good time, man. But well, I guess that will do it for another episode of Talk to Me here on notfest.com. So make sure you are rating, reviewing, all that good stuff with the show. Make sure to share with your friends. And so for the Talk to Me podcast, I am Joshua Toomey.
I am not Dimebag Darrell.
No, you are not.
No.
And we will talk to you soon.
See ya.